Outstanding, the ultimate accolade for teachers. We challenge secondary teacher Rebecca Wills to go from good to outstanding. A top inspector will observe one lesson. 2 experts will fine-tune her practice and beef up her presentation. She then gets 2 weeks to take on the advice before the inspector comes back for the final verdict.
The pressure on yourself is quite hard because you're thinking, will I be outstanding?
Rebecca Wills is a modern foreign languages teacher. She's been teaching for 2 years.
I'm one of those people who's always wanted to do teaching. It matches my personality. I'm lively, I like to talk, I like to be in control, I like to do everything from the front. How to give students more ownership of their work, that's something I would quite like help with, and not feel that that's a bad thing, that I'm not in control of every minute of the learning.
Beal High School is a large, mixed, comprehensive in Essex. The MFL department rates her teaching as good.
We all know what very good is, but to reach that outstanding, I think sometimes that little leap is what we all struggle with. I don't want to just get into a routine of this is what I do for this lesson. I want to push myself because I want to try and challenge and improve the way that I'm teaching.
Rebecca will focus this challenge on her Year 8.
They're a mixed ability class. They have done French already in Year 7 and then they're now taking up German as their second language. That tells you all like how to say 30th or whatever, 20th. They're a lively group, some lively characters, but also some very hard-working students as well. Generally, they're quite a pleasure to teach. Dick! I am really looking forward to the whole process and seeing what I need to do to improve and hopefully seeing my teaching improve over the next few weeks.
It's the morning of her observation. Time for some reassurance from Head of Department Steve Davis.
How do you feel about being inspected?
Just hope that I remember what I'm doing, you know, keep my wits about me, and that the kids are also responsive as well.
With hundreds of inspections under her belt, School Inspector Claire Gillies leads inspection teams up and down the country. She certainly knows an outstanding lesson when she sees one.
I'm at Beal High School to watch Rebecca Wills teaching Year 8 German. These students have been studying German just over a term.
Rebecca has got just 60 minutes to impress the inspector.
Okay, today the aims of the lesson are to learn how to describe ourselves, what our hair colour is, what our eye colour is, and to describe also what other people look like. Okay, here we go. Blaue Augen.
Blaue Augen.
Blaue Augen.
Blaue Augen.
Blaue Augen.
Blaue Augen.
Ja, was sind sie? Was sind blaue Augen? Good. Blue eyes. Braune Augen. Braune Augen.
Braune Augen.
Graue Augen.
Graue Augen.
Also, auf Englisch, wie heißt grüne Augen? Grüne Augen auf Englisch. Good, green eyes.
When you talk to young people and say what to you makes the difference between just a good lesson and one that really is rather special, they'll practically always highlight the teacher's enthusiasm is key to them enjoying and feeling they're really learning well in a lesson.
Noughts and crosses. Ja, also wir haben hier Team A und Team B. Okay, Ramia.
Blonde Haare.
Blonde Haare.
Now nobody can
Okay, yep, Chris.
2. Brune Augen.
Who?
Brune Augen.
Not brune Augen. I said brune Augen, Adiola.
Brown Augen.
Sehr good, braune Augen. Okay, good.
Our teacher, she's not really like other teachers. She always lets us play games and she always makes the lesson really fun and interesting.
Nummer 2, heb die Hand. Welche Buchstabe, Ramia, war das?
D.
Das war D. Okay, tick and cross as you go. I'm going to tell you, yeah, that was correct. Well done.
It helps us because we want to go up and do it on the board, so we do the answers, go up on the board and hopefully learn.
So, Tony Blair. Hat kurze braune Haare. Hat blaue Augen. Who could tell me what does that mean in English?
He has
brown hair and blue eyes.
Yeah, and he also
Short brown hair.
Short,
Oh,
well
short
done.
brown
He
hair
has
and
short
blue
brown
eyes.
hair.
When I observe a lesson, I'm looking for certainly lots of exemplary features, but very convincing high-quality learning from certainly the great majority of children in the class.
Now, I was going to give it you in class, but I'll give it you for homework because we're running out of time. There's some that I've just told you who the person is, and you need to write a description about them.
So how did she perform?
Rebecca, thank you very much for letting me share that lesson, and I imagine you're feeling quite tired after it, because you did put a lot of energy into the lesson, and certainly I think we can say that they learnt well. It was a good lesson with some really sparkling features which I'd like to highlight for you. I loved all the repetition techniques. That was great. The getting louder, getting softer. The pictures in relationship to the eye colours. There was lots of fun ways of learning there. If you sort of stand back from that lesson and think what was the thing that perhaps you feel might have brought it up to the really outstanding sort of as a whole, what would it be?
My big issue in my teaching is I am very much, it's all about me, and as a department we do say languages, it is hard to become more pupil-led. It's trying to get the balance because my voice goes and that frustrates me because,
absolutely.
and I'm tired all the time because I'm giving.
And you've got to get them.
Yeah, and it's got to be more about them.
Which is why I think going for more pair, group,
it's less
scenarios.
intense for them.
Less intense for them, but also it gives you the breather. Yeah. There were lots and lots of good things, and as I say, do let's come round to the fact that they all seem to enjoy it. That's wonderful for them to leave a lesson feeling that they've made real progress. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you as well for your feedback. That was quite encouraging to think, when I start to analyse myself and reflect, actually I'm thinking about the things, and it's stuff that I guess I already know, but now it's that stage of, okay, well, how can I change that?
With the first observation now behind her, the inspector highlighted Rebecca's need to shift the emphasis off herself and onto her pupils, getting them all engaged in the lesson. It's time to bring on the experts. To boost Rebecca's progress, help comes from voice and communications coach Ulrika Schulte-Bauklo and advanced skills teacher Pauline Bullen. They start by watching her lesson.
Welche Nummer ist das? A. Gut, dann ihr schreibt A.
I think from a communication skills side, what I really like is that she is very positive. But what I notice is that gets really difficult to understand her because she gets too fast in the delivery. I think she must feel really tired by the end of the session.
To keep going at this pace is going to be exhausting.
Yes.
She's heading for burnout really quite soon.
So I, from my side, will definitely focus on that one.
I think she needs to identify the starter as the beginning of the lesson in terms of a small episode. So if she thinks about breaking the lesson down into episodes, that would shift the emphasis away from her as well and focus it more on what students are learning and doing.
Yeah. I have prepared a chart. Just make crosses where we think you are. Your voice, how would you describe this?
I would put myself as well articulated, but the pace is very, very fast. My volume, I'm not, you see, it's not well projected, that's the thing, but I'm not quiet.
So you see, funny enough, you're quiet and loud beside each other because none of those one is what we actually want. What we want is something well projected. I feel that your voice has some kind of limitation in the lower range, but the humming up and down, and particularly starting to listen to your voice, it will actually help you to create more variety for your listeners and for yourself. So you hum and I will draw. Okay, so now I'd like you to take your hand and imagine something velvet, and you are stroking a velvet pillow. We're trying now to increase this a little bit. So I'd like you to imagine this is a ball and we want to roll it over the mountain. So what I like you is really stretch the words because sound has to travel. Grüne Augen.
Blaue Augen.
Other arm. Grüne Augen.
Blaue Augen.
Grüne Augen. Blaue Augen. And I'd like you just to give the beginning of an introduction.
Today, what we're going to be doing is learning about physical descriptions, whether we are fat or whether we are thin.
How do you feel?
I felt that when I was accentuating the words that I wanted them to hear, for example, whether you are tall, when I paused and made that longer, that's the word they're going to hear as well, isn't it? In my lesson, I'm definitely going to be focusing on how quickly I'm talking, that actually the kids will understand better what I'm saying rather than just hearing blah, 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 which is what they hear at the moment.
So I'd like to just go through with you some of the highlights of the lesson and where we could start to build some improvements.
Schwarze Haare. Schwarze Haare. Schwarze Haare. Schwarze Haare.
One thing you cannot do is keep up this level of energy and enthusiasm, which at the moment is so present throughout the whole lesson from you, and actually you're doing all the work. If you were going to tell me what percentage of the lesson you have the children flat out working, what do you think that percentage would be?
10%.
And where do we need to switch that?
Well, it needs to be maybe 60-40 or 70-30, I would go to them.
But I would push you a little bit more to think 80-20,
Okay.
I really would. And so in this 20% where you're flat out, that's exactly the kind of thing you should be doing, modelling. But the rest of the time, think of yourself more as a facilitator for learning. Yeah? Okay, Rebecca, so if we're thinking about ways that you can reduce your talk, as a starter, when the children are coming in, you could think about using the idea of having it written up there.
Yep, describing my friends.
So what that does immediately, straight away, you could begin the lesson in German, asking them to either read out today's Objektiven heute. Now, the other thing you can do when you begin to refine it is you could think about levelling it. So you could begin, if you like...
To then put a level next to it, great, yeah.
So whichever way you look at that, it makes the assessment for learning a natural part of the lesson as it unfolds.
Yeah. So, specifically, can you give me some ideas what activities I can do? So we're moving to this 20% me, 8% them.
We're thinking now about getting them to do more work and you not so much work. So we're shifting now to them doing lots of pair work to reinforce the bit you've just done. Yeah? If you build in some kind of, after you've practiced in your pairs, I'm going to select 2 or 3 of you to, you know, show us what you've been doing. So they don't know if they're going to have to come up and do it or do it to the class. So I think if you reward them by upping the challenge, but then, of course, you'll up the praise, they'll come with you. Yeah. They are captive. You have got them. They will, I think, quite easily move on with you to a harder level. You could try thinking kinesthetic. I mean, word order is a big thing in German. So ordering the words in front of them in pairs. Have you tried the completely taking away your voice?
No. Where I just sort of
lip read.
Okay.
It's amazing how when you completely take away your voice, they become very focused on you and they have to watch you and then they can give you that.
If I was to go like, would you get them to just one person to respond or to get them all to try and then say it?
You can vary it.
So I can just...
You can vary it.